this is the second time the three of us have gotten to sit down together. The process that I'm gonna explain today and the system of doing a strategic plan is what you have on the paper in front of you. It was, SWOT analysis is something that I have done a couple of different times when I've worked in different government settings. And Laura, I don't know if you've ever done something like that before?
No.
All right, what I'm looking for is something else I want to show you while we're here. I think, y'all know that we have talked a few times to our county manager and assistant manager. This is the strategic plan they just developed. You can access this online. This is the only copy I have, but I did want you to look at it to see what kind of, yeah, that's it. The extensive work that they did in preparation for that design and for sort of a sense of where the county is going. There is a way to divide this up. We have 4 different categories. Obviously, with the library, they have many more. As a county agency, you're gonna find that they probably wish they only had 4 to address, because they have dealt with all of those, again, in a very systematic way. So our 4 categories, facilities, obviously, and we've all talked about that in multiple meetings. As the board, the need for more space is evident in all of the libraries we go into. I think all of us are very, very familiar with the idea of probably where we're hoping to be able to develop the facilities into a friendlier, more manageable, and greater access for the community. Programs and services are very depending on which library you go into. There are not the same programs in every single branch. So they've done, I think, again, an excellent job of being able to determine what to offer where and trying to meet the needs of each particular community. But that is the second area that we really need to look at. And the programs themselves sometimes, I guess, are tied to the building, the availability of space. So services that we provide, obviously we go beyond books in offering things to the community. The third area of staffing is something that we've all, I think, grown to appreciate more and more as we've gotten to know the staff and found out the time-consuming jobs they have, their ability to sort of take on multiple roles when the time comes, to find a niche for themselves that just will be very hard to replace. If you've ever been here for story time, she's not replaceable. Do you know that?
I don't know.
Okay. But staffing is also, I think, a real blessing for us, because we'll be able to go to them. We'll be able to find out what needs they have. And we do have a survey that Julie has already conducted with the staff. So they have offered us input in these 4 categories as well. We won't do that today, and we'll maybe do it in August quickly, but there's the meeting in August will probably be more of what we are going to bring to this. Collections will be the 4th area. So that has to do with the books that we already have, the books that we need to purchase, the way that they are arranged and offered to the public, and all of the expenses, I guess, that would go along with that, because they're not cheap, they're not free, and a lot of those collections are more expensive than others. We have more space in some of the libraries in order to be able to provide more material. So those 4 areas. Do I have any questions about those 4 areas and why identified those are the ones that we will specifically focus on.
I'd like to ask Julie, are there any things that missing that should be included?
So Martin and I have talked about this. That'll be a natural, outcome of the exercise starting here. So as you are identifying strengths and weaknesses in these areas, other things, correlations, patterns will pop up. And so we may not, it may be more than 4 after the work is done.
It's a place to start.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think your staff did those 4.
They
Is that
did.
right?
Mhm.
Did any, I won't even ask.
Yeah.
I'll ask later, did anything else come out
I
of
don't have
that?
that.
But, the primary goal today is for us all to understand how we will approach this. So again, those are the 4 for now. It will be, maybe expanded. We just have to see if there is something else that grows out of this naturally. Our meeting in August will, I think right now we're planning on holding that before the regular meeting. Probably a 2-hour window, depending on availability. We'll need to talk to the other board members to be sure, because we really do need all hands on deck for this. Because there are 4 categories and there are 7 trustees and then 3 of the, I like to call you administrators, from the library who will be participating in this. We will have 10 people. So broken down, we'll have 2 in one group, 2 in one group, 3, and then 3.
Martin had a thought about that.
That's a
So,
good one.
after we talked, I was kind of mulling this around in my head. I think a group of 2 is not a group, it's a pair, right?
It's a pair.
So as I realized that, I thought to myself, maybe the best way to do it is split the group down the middle. And then either have each, group A and group group B, either go through 2 of the 4, or 4, all 4, and then come together and have that second meeting where we then have everything written out, where we can then go through it. So let's say group A does facilities and programs and services, group B does staff and collections, then we can bring all that together on the big,
Post-it notes.
Post-it notes we
Yeah.
talked about, and then we can all tear that apart as a whole. We can look at it and see what rises to the top, what aligns with this strategic plan from the county, and what rises to the top from what the board has come up with, and then also combine what our staff is saying and seeing where the overlap is.
Is a 2-hour window enough for that?
I think a 2-hour window for that should be enough.
Okay, so if we did it that way, I like that a whole lot better, because I think, yeah, a group of 2 or 2.5, you couldn't figure out how to do 2.5.
Well, right, and I also think you get more dialogue that way.
You will.
Right.
Yes, and I think that's what we need, you don't just need people bouncing off one person, so
Right.
we'll approach it that way. So that means double duty. One group will do facilities, programs and services, and then staffing and collections. That,
Or think about it, because it may
Right.
well be we spend,
Right.
25 minutes on each. Everybody
Right.
spends 25 minutes on each.
That's possible too. Yeah.
Because everybody will have ideas and conversations about.
So the participants in this exercise are just gonna be the board
Yes.
and the staff?
And admin staff.
yes.
Because
We're not having any line people from the.
They've
No.
already given their input. We have swaths of data already that I don't wanna tell you what I've found yet, because I don't wanna, color your feedback. But what I wanna do is then take what the board has said, take what the staff have given us as feedback, combine all that and see what rises to the top, right? If everybody says X is the biggest issue from both groups, and we go, okay, well, this is something we need to look at. Is that-
So at what point do the patrons of the library get a chance to give their ideas?
That is something that Josh has offered us, all of
Josh is,
Josh Edwards, the county manager.
okay.
He has allowed us the opportunity to survey the community through what York County actually does to send out to citizens of York County. So we will be sending a survey
Okay.
to the community to provide, again, input on all of these things, but we need to narrow those down first, and so that's what we're starting with the board and the staff and administrative staff to determine if this is what we need, or if we go beyond that. But we don't want to necessarily muddy the waters. We don't want to make this so broad that we can't deal with it. And that's our first goal. We want to be able to deal with this in a logical process.
So Terry, what we did for our staff, and I don't know if we're gonna do it for the public this way, but just like what we did for our staff, we did a SWOT on each one of the four. So we did strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for staff to fill out a long form document for facilities, for staffing, for programs and services, and for collections. So each of them gave us a long form feedback. We then went through and picked out every comment that they made and overlapped them to find out where the largest concerns are from our staff. And so we could think about something like that moving forward for the public, but I think that requires more discussion.
Here's the major concern I have.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of inbreeding going on here, because you got the board and you got two administrators. And given, you're both experienced, we're much less experienced. What I'm more interested in is what is out there in the universe of public libraries today. What are the possibilities? What are the things that York County Library does not offer, but could be offered? In other words, I think our biggest problem in moving forward with getting new libraries is the general public is unaware of what libraries do today. And if you were to do a random survey, if people were to describe libraries, they would probably describe a library that they were forced to go to in the 12th grade to do a term paper and haven't been back since. And then the ensuing 20 years plus,
Right.
the whole library picture has evolved. All I'm saying is that I want to make sure that we're talking about strategic planning going forward, we are being exposed to those kind of possibilities.
And that's gonna happen, that will happen, but I don't think we've only got a few more minutes for
So,
today.
I mean, how is it
But I
gonna
know- I
happen? Are we
totally
gonna bring
understand
in
what you're talking about, and
outside
I think-
experts to give us ideas, or look
Can
at
you give me an
videos,
example?
or what?
Can I give you an example of
Sure.
how I've seen it happen before? So a couple things happen, there's multiple prongs, right? When we planned our building in Central Piedmont, we did a SWOT analysis the way we're doing it now.
Okay.
We had a consultant come in once we had our strategic plan written. We had a strategic plan that said, yes, we've identified we need new buildings.
Right.
We identified, how many people per library, how many seats, how big is the collection going to be, how many computers do we want? Very broadly kind of spaces. Then we had a consultant come in and tell us exactly what's possible, what the money might look like, what are other libraries doing, just in terms of spaces. Then we went out with the architect firm and we, for about 6 to 8 months, we visited probably 8 different libraries throughout the country that we thought were innovative. So we went to, I can't remember the names, but libraries that had just done renovations basically, and we saw what they did. And we walked away from that with a really good idea of what we thought our students would want. But then we also went to the students, and surprisingly, we heard the same thing. The students wanted the same thing that the other libraries were doing. So we meshed all that together and came up with what I think is a state-of-the-art library for that campus. So that's how I've seen it done before.
But, and this is why, Terry, we keep saying that we're not at the point where we should hire a consultant, because we need to determine our needs, we need to determine the community input, and we're gonna get all of that. But we don't wanna hire somebody to come in right now to tell us what they think we need. We need the community to tell us what they need, and we need to look at that ourselves.
Well,
So-
at the risk of beating a dead horse, I disagree with you, because I think that's exactly what these consultants do. They're
Well,
experts at
at
doing
this
it.
point, that we're not ready for that,
But
and
I
we've
wanna
had
go-
some pretty good advice.
I'll go on
But-
record right now that if we were gonna take trips to other cities to see libraries like Martin C. Kidd, I want San Francisco, I want New York, and I want,
And you're gonna have to pay, you'll have to pay
oh,
for it.
you
You'll-
didn't mention that.
You'll pay for it. Okay, anyway, what you are going to look at in that August meeting would be the strengths of our facilities. You know, it's not all bad around here. We really love our York County libraries. We know we need some growth, we know we need some changes. But there should be some really positive things for us to be able to say about our facilities, about our programs, about our staffing, and about our collections. So we start there. You always want to start with the positive. You want to start with what are we doing right? And that should be, I think, the moment for us to really show appreciation for what we have here for the staff, as well as what the county has allowed us to do. So again, strengths, weaknesses, we have those. And those weaknesses are probably going to be the same across the board. I think we're gonna find out that the weaknesses that we have are things that are more, maybe, I don't use the word generic, they're just sort of the same thing all libraries face. But we'll do that with facilities, programs, staffing, and collections. We will look at opportunities. Opportunities aren't exactly, that's what it sounds like. What are the things that we can do? What are the ways that we can just push that envelope and make things happen? Let's drink, let's see what we can actually do. And then finally, the threats, it's always money. It might be, again, the location of different buildings, the parking here. It might be that what we'll find out is we don't have as much community support as what we want. So how do you get the community interested? How do you make them want to spend money on a facility that they don't think they have any use for? So we have to sell this, and there's not a consultant on the planet who's gonna sell it like we will. We care about it, we live here, we want this done. So that's been the advice we've been given, and the idea of visiting multiple libraries. How far away did you go, Martin?
We drove down, so we did it in driving distance. We went all the way down to Atlanta and all the way up to Virginia.
Okay.
And we went, the architects picked out libraries who had just had either renovation or brand new library. We went to one at Atlanta Mountains, we went to Liberty University, we went to several other universities that had, were written up for having state-of-the-art libraries.
And your architect gave you an idea of a budget?
So
Or did you tell him this is how much?
So we dreamed big, and then once we aligned our vision with the goals of the college, they then said, okay, here's a budget, make it work within this month.
So he was given a budget?
He was given a budget that to stay within a certain dollars per square feet. That's basically what they figured out.
Okay.
And there is some sort of metric that lives there. And I think we spent over $70 million on 140,000 square foot building.
In 1 year?
We did that in 2022. That was $70 million in 2022.
So 100,000 square feet, it's $70 million.
That's about what it turned out to be, yeah.
I can't do the math, I have no idea what that is.
It's a lot of money.
That looks like, to me, it looks like something like $700 square foot. But, that's helpful, thank you. So we will probably be visiting, we can get to North Carolina driving, we can get places in South Carolina.
Twin Cities, you know something like that.
Richmond,
And so
a
I
lot
think,
of South Carolina libraries have been renovating.
Yeah.
Anderson, I'm trying to think of somebody else, Charleston, and it's not
Mount
Charleston.
Pleasant
Alberta.
has got a really great library, but that's a full day down there.
Well, that's what we did. We did full day trips. We didn't do overnight, but we did full day trips. And then we came back and discussed what we liked and what we saw. We had like all day meetings about this,
and again, I'm assuming that the architect would probably be able to provide,
They were
guidance on who to visit.
They were part and parcel of the whole process.
Okay. All right, so again, in the August meeting, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for all 4 of those categories or areas. I like your idea, splitting it down the middle, that gives us 5 and 5. So we'll have large Post-it notes that fit on the wall. So your groups will provide that information for us to be able to see as you finish. We can put those up and let people see what you've identified. I will also incorporate that into an email, and I can send that to the board members and to the administrative staff or whoever you would identify needs to see it. And then we will, at the next meeting, have an opportunity to discuss. If we don't have a lot of time in our August meeting, then it gets carried over into September. We can discuss it, we can synthesize, and we can see if there is another area of interest that we need to.
So Martin, at the next meeting, you will provide us the staff suggestions, recommendations.
Not till afterwards, we're gonna hold off on that until we have ours. Julie and I did talk about that.
Yeah, I
We
don't wanna
want
bias,
color.
I don't wanna bias what you wanna bring to the table, and I think it'd be good to naturally see where things overlap, but I definitely, once you do that, then I think you guys should see what the staff has said, obviously.
Well, my point is that our knowledge of libraries is very, very limited.
But you bring a different perspective, and that's important.
Yeah.
You're looking at it from the outside, and that's helpful.
Yeah, I think it is, it's just, it's another.
It is, it's not, it is a useful, it's useful use of your time. I'm saying that wrong. It's a good use of your time, to offer what perspective you have.
And it won't be so insular. We won't be bound by what they came up with. We'll have to think through this on our own. And, you know, honestly, Terry, you've got a lot of thoughts about these things. So I think you'll be surprised. So between now and August, though, you know the categories that we will be dealing with. If you want to even sort of, if you're falling asleep at night, think about what is a strength that I see in the York County public library system. And then when we come back together, you'll be ready to say which group you think you should be in, because we will be divided half and half. All right, are there any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Go ahead.
Okay.
You move, I second.
So, all in favor? All right, we will take this up again in October.